Hi, welcome to this season of the panel. On this season, we're talking about Black in Britain, and this particular episode is about Black men. I have an amazing panel with me, and we're gonna have a conversation about being Black. If I can just get you guys to introduce yourselves.
My name's Marlon Kameka. I'm an artist, I'm a youth practitioner, and I'm an activist.
My name's Alleyne. I'm a businessman and spend a lot of time in the Caribbean.
Good, Josh.
My name is Joshua Marshall. I'm a creative and I do lots of things here and there.
Good. So first question, guys. What I want to ask is, how are you currently feeling about being a Black man in Britain in this moment?
At this moment, you know what, I feel great. I feel like what happened this year in regards to the uprising of the Black Lives Matter movement has really made me want to research more about what it is to be a Black man in this country, and to connect with the Black ancestors who've come before me, who have been buried for whatever reason, because certain people don't want us to know the true history of our ancestors. So I've done a hell of a lot of research, and I've really connected back to people in Africa, people in the Caribbean, like you were talking about earlier, and I've really found myself being proud of my background, not just in my immediate background, like my mum, who's amazing, but just like all these people that I've learned about over the last X amount of years who have just not had that kind of limelight that they deserve. So I'm feeling great.
I usually feel wonderful, but this year has been even better, especially since the whole Floyd thing. You know, people are talking about stuff we should have been talking about before, and it's open. It's an open light. It's an open talk. Where a lot of people we didn't want to speak about, even as Black people, regardless whether you're talking to an Asian, white, or whatever, because it was like an awkward moment. Where now I feel like if you bring it up, it's not really much of a big thing because a lot of people want to talk about it anyway.
Yes.
So I think it's a really positive thing this year, man.
Good, Josh.
Well, I agree, really and truly. It's like there's been like kind of a renaissance for like Black culture in a sense, because now we've been given that limelight. Whereas, like you said, like before there could have been that sense of awkwardness, you know, like if there's a topic that could be a bit offensive to somebody, or like they feel like they might step on your toes, now people actually want to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Plus social media, look what social media shows. How can you see what's happening to young Black men and not want to talk about it, and not feel outraged regardless of your race?
So do you think it's social media that has kind of like highlighted everything?
I think social media plays a big part of what's happening today, because social media enlightened it. Someone said to me, what's happening now has been happening for years. It's not a new thing. Exactly. I knew it wasn't a new thing, but this year everyone's like talking about it. It's like this has been happening for ages.
It's because it's been so in your face.
Because it's so in your face.
The video.
Because usually before what would happen is you'll see like a small clip, right, and it would just disappear. But not anymore. It's like boom, there's that. Boom, there's that. So it's like you have to talk about it. We have to address it. So now, no, man.
What I would say is that we shouldn't get complacent, though, because this has happened before. We've as Black men, we've all experienced these shocking, horrific incidences of violence against Black people, whether it's here or in America. And what we've got to do is we've got to keep that momentum going, because as much as it was great to see so many allies coming out for the Black Lives Matter protests, they probably came out for because they were under quarantine and they had to find a justifiable reason why they went to the protest. Let's be honest. It's a justifiable reason. I can go out on the streets, I can support my Black people, my Black friends, and I can post a Black square, hashtag Black Lives Matter, and I've done my job. What we've got to drive home to these so-called allies is that being an anti-racist person is not something that you do part-time. It's something that you do for the rest of your life. So we mustn't get complacent and be like, oh, it was great in June, but what's happening now? I don't see many people posting or talking about being anti-racist as much as they were in June. For example, there was a black child, a 16-year-old Black child who came from Sudan, who tried to get from France to this country, and he drowned. He drowned in the Channel Tunnel. There was no media coverage about that. Why was that? Because it happened in August, because he was an immigrant, because he came from Africa. Whereas the George Floyd killing became a massive movement because it was not just because of social media and because it was videotaped, but because he was American and because we had that connection with America. Why do we not have that same connection with Africa? So I think we need to make sure we don't get complacent, not just our allies, but as Black people as well, because that's happened before.
Yeah. What would you say about the whole thing around SARS in Nigeria? Because then there was quite a positive reaction in the sense of how people responded to it, and everyone was in support of that against that. So could it be because not enough people were talking about it, even within the black community, about the young man that drowned.
Yes.
Versus with SARS, then it's like everyone's just tweeting about it. So do we need to do more of that then? Do we need to be like, when one person finds out something, we spread it around like this has happened?
Completely, because in regards to SARS, when it first came out, I saw a few things on Twitter. I didn't see anything on mainstream media, that's not a surprise.
Yeah.
And I was looking for something that I could actively do, because I don't just like sharing videos or sharing clips, because I think there's something called black trauma porn. So we post things and white people just love to see us getting murdered or abused, and then they move on with their day. I don't want to post things like that. I'd rather do something active, whether it's signing a petition or going for a protest. That's me being an active anti-racist. So I couldn't find anything. I found one petition, and then someone else said don't sign that petition because they wanted us to have sanctions against those people in Nigeria. And sanctions is only going to not help those people who are working class, who need that money from other countries. So that was a really difficult thing to do. But you talk about SARS, what's been the outcome of that? I don't see anyone talking about that now. That's why I'm saying we need to keep this momentum going. And the reason why people aren't focused on SARS is because it's an African country. We've got to be honest with ourselves. We've got to find out, why do we not have this connection with Africa that we have with America? Why is everything so American-centric? And that's where our falling is going to be, because we've got to remember we all originally came from Africa.
I agree with that. What do you guys think about that?
No, 100%. But not just obviously white people. You can't just fixate on them, or Asians or whatever. Black people, it's their job as well. That's why I said black people can be as racist to each other just as a white person can. You can say something to that.
I will never interrupt you. I always will listen.
Yeah. So look, I think there's a lot to do as a being black. There's a lot more to do ourselves. Look, I think Akon, you know, I don't know if you know what the whole Akon thing, what he's doing, Akon City, right? I think Akon said it. He said it enough times. He said, "How often do you think of Africa as a holiday destination?" But it can easily be. How many people do you go and go? The only people I know that go back to Africa is like the mums, like the Nigerian mums or the Ghanaian. They don't go even as a youth kid or our peers. They don't go back to Africa.
But this is because what we see, I would say. Do you know what I mean? Like, for example, if you're watching television.
Oh, you think you're going to see a bunch of skinny little African kids begging for food?
Pure dust everywhere.
That's what you think. That's what you think. You know what I mean? But it's not. I mean, look, I had a friend that went to Kenya, I think last year, and he absolutely loved it. And before, because I spent a lot of time in the Caribbean, right? So I'm like 100% open-minded. When I talk to people and someone said to me, look, you know, I went to Kenya, saw the lions and blah, blah, blah. I said, really? And you got to be adventurous, and you had a guy, you're like a tour guide. And I love that kind of stuff. And prior to 2 years ago, before I got like really involved with like my whole of who I am or whatever, I said, Africa, Kenya, we got rather go Dubai or Mali, you know what I mean? But now I'm like, next year I need to go Kenya. I want to go I want to go. Even my friend was like Afro Nation, right? He was like, last year, December, Afro Nation was shot in Ghana. I would have loved to, but I was in the Caribbean. I would have loved to have gone to Afro Nation in, Ghana. I mean, look, Afro Nation isn't just Afrobeats artists as well, because even Chris Brown, who I'm a big fan of, if Breezy watching this, goes to, even Chris Brown is even at the next Afro Nation thing. So I think it's not just everyone. You just have to be open-minded and educate yourself. Allow yourself to educate and never be afraid to learn, because the more knowledge you got, the more power you know, right? So it's a positive.
Have you ever felt disadvantaged as a black man, and like why or how did that?
Every day, man.
Yeah,
I think every day.
In what ways? Like what
every day
what scenarios?
I
what
walk
situations?
out. Okay, let's say for example, I'm going. So for example, for me, so I used to be a recruitment manager, right? Right. And it took me it was a lot harder for me to get into a management role, regardless of my experience. And I know it must have been to do with my skin tone. And even when I reached there, they keep you at a level to say, okay, we're giving you management and you can look after these 100, 200 people. But you just, because whenever I had ideas or tried to step out of this place, it's like, oh no, that's out of the food. You know what I mean? That's not your food chain. Level. What was it? There's a level of command, Wayne. Like that's.
So you just worry about your area.
You just worry about your area, and you got the management type, but let's not get too excited of where you are.
Yeah, I think for me, like I agree with what you're saying, but for me, I think what I'm kind of tired of, and I'm trying not to deal with it anymore, is like the gaslighting you get. Like when you're talking about your experience, I guarantee you there'll be a white person who says, well, how do you know that was racist, why you didn't get to go up the ladder? They'll gaslight you, and then you start doubting yourself. You're like, well, maybe it wasn't racist. Maybe I just wasn't qualified enough. And it's such a wicked game that those people do to us. They've been gaslighting us for hundreds of years in order to justify the reason why they're taking away our rights and our freedom. And for me, it's about knowing when you're being gaslit and being able to articulate, not just to them, because I don't think that's too much important, but articulate to yourself that you know what you're going through and you don't need to justify it to anyone. And that's when you reclaim your power.
I agree with that, yeah, because, and the thing is, it's like, in terms of that sort of gaslighting, it's like you look across board, how much black people do you have in management roles within companies?
Oh, 100%. How many of them are CEOs? How many of them are directors?
Exactly.
It's not a thing.
They tried the trick of putting putting the pictures in black and white just to be like, oh, you won't be able to tell the race or whatever. It doesn't work, we can see.
But even like, say, sports or things that are like predominantly black. So like, you look at the NBA, how much owners of NBA teams are black? And
I think it's only new, like Jay-Z is like bought into.
He's just part owner.
Oh, is he?
So it's not even like he fully owns. He owns like 35%. But then it's like the NBA is like 85 to 90%
That's ridiculous.
black. And then where are the owners?
Exactly.
Where are the owners?
Well, I call it legal slavery. A lot of people that work and they tell me, I go, yeah, it's legal slavery. You know, it's legal slavery, right? It's allowed. Like we're being paid now.
Yes.
We're being paid. We're not being chained or blah, blah, blah. They're paying us.
Yeah.
Especially in the sports world where you can trade people and
it's a bit on the nose, you know?
What about Josh? Do you, in terms of like feeling disadvantaged, how do you?
I mean, there's plenty of times, like the way things are at work. I'm like the first line, the first people when they come inside the shop, they see me first. And if I'm standing there with somebody else who isn't black, I noticed definitely that more people would gravitate towards them than me. Especially now in like this whole like COVID season where we all wear masks. Because normally I'd smile, you know, you know when you have to do a bit extra to like just bring them in. So I might smile and make sure to say hi. But then now that there's that buffer, it's a bit more difficult in that sense.
But it's again like how media portrays, let's say, white as friendly. You watch films and you watch shows, whatever, it's young black boys or black men, whatever. It's like either aggressive, thugs, do you know what I mean? It's all of that narrative that is pushed.
Let's talk about serial killers.
Huh? Unless we're
talking about serial killers or rapists and stuff like that. Because black people, we ain't out there.
And even to an extent, though.
We may do a little crime, but we don't do. We're not on the 15, 10 people black bag. We don't do that stuff. But
but then someone's going to Google that and they're going to prove you wrong, you know, in the comments.
Actually, I watched enough Netflix documentaries to know that black people are not serial killers.
No, but have you noticed that in those things they always like humanize like the serial killers, the rapists. It's like
they had a troubled upbringing.
It's like they always find a way. It's like
their mum left them when
they
were 5.
Trump's that was Trump's excuse when like the white boy went into school and shot people up, and he had the thing at the gay club or something in America. But that person came on gay. You know how Trump even, you know what I mean? So no, it's mental health, innit? It's not. That's how they portray it, innit?
But then I think we're responsible for that as well. I think we need to stop feeding into that. I'm an actor and I'm a writer as well. So a couple of years ago, when I left university, all the roles I was being offered were thug, drug dealer, criminal. Thug, drug dealer, criminal. And I was like, okay. And obviously when you leave uni, you're broke. So you just do these jobs. Then I came to a position a couple of years ago, I was like, you, Marlon, are perpetuating the one thing that you hate most about what you're seeing on screen. So I hate seeing those roles where it's just drug dealer portrayed by black people. But I was going through those roles and I was playing those roles. So it was my responsibility to stop that. So it's like, you know what? A couple of years ago, I said, I'm not doing that anymore. I refuse to put myself forward to carry on perpetuating a stereotype that's doing our community no good at all. So it's our responsibility. So we need to stop going to support those films Stop watching those TV shows. Stop going to those theatre shows that don't have at least one black member of the cast. We need to start doing it rather than sitting there complaining, oh, we're always seeing black people killing people on screen. Yeah, because we're buying the music, we're going to the films, we're supporting those shows. I want to see black people in all their glory. Yeah, they could struggle, but they could be a doctor, or they could be a single parent, but they're educating themselves on Open University. Why can't we have more complex stories? Shall I tell you why? Because as black people, we keep giving our money to those same old tired cliche stories, and as white people, they keep giving their money to those same cliche stories. So the system never ends, it keeps perpetuating. And I'm telling you from the inside, because I'm in the industry as an artist, we need to put our foot down, which is great, which is amazing seeing John Berger there, because Small Acts is something that's on the BBC at the moment, and I think it's kind of taking a different kind of approach to the Black history story, and I think that's what we need to do to move forward. So we're all responsible. We can't sit there and just blame everyone else. We've got to look at ourselves and think, what can I do to stop this stereotype being perpetuated?
And that's something we're good at, I think, oftentimes, blaming others. Oh,
I agree with what he's saying, but I also look at it a different scenario, right? So certain movies with like high crime, so like your Top Boy, your Blue Story or whatever, these are really like popular movies, right?
Why
And
is that?
okay, I know why they're popular, but this is how I see it. Okay, it's acting, it's giving people jobs, it's giving people money. One minute, it's
Capitalism.
It's financing people. So if I'm an actor and I'm making a little money, if that allows me to go up a ladder,
It doesn't work like that, mate. From an actor who's been doing this for many years, it doesn't work like that, because you get typecast. You get typecast. They see your showreel. A showreel is basically a collection of all the films that you've been in. They see your showreel. Showreel 1, criminal. Showreel 2, drug dealer. Showreel 3, murderer. So then you're perpetuating. You don't go up a ladder. You don't go up the ladder.
Some people do.
So first, can I say something?
One or two people go through, make it through. It doesn't work like that.
Example,
it doesn't
right?
work like that.
Example, I just done something for Amazon Prime, yeah, where you're gonna disagree. Where
I'm gonna disagree.
I played as a, it was like a drug deal, and I was basically a bouncer with a lot of mandem, right? Where you're just like, you shouldn't have. You're probably in your head going, you've just literally lived up to the whole stereotype. When I done it, it was like a whole stereotype. But for us, we were acting.
How long have you been acting for?
So I've actually done drama school and acting for my whole life, and I've stopped doing it. I've just started coming back into it. So that's different. That was my first casting.
Right, that's different.
That was my first. I stopped acting for 14 years. I'm actually from like a singing, performing arts background, and I said, when I come back, let me see if I can do some acting, some extra work, stuff like that, podcast, stuff like that. So I started applying, and that was the first thing I got. They said, oh, blah, blah, blah. I sent 2 monologues over, and they liked it, and I did it. And when I was doing it, because I knew I was coming for this today, I was like, oh, it kind of contradicts itself, because I'm playing like a game. But I never looked at it. I just looked at it like, well, we're just actors.
But that's your truth.
But you have to look deeper than that, because unfortunately what you're saying is correct. A lot of black people just look at the money, but they don't see the long-term ramifications of that £150 they get per day, if that. If you're lucky to get even that, let's not even go into that boat. Do you know what I mean? You've got to look at the long-term ramifications. And it's me and you are on different levels, because obviously you're a successful business person, I'm not. But I am an actor, and I've been doing this for many years, and you haven't. So if you see your first role, like I said, in my first couple of roles, yeah, I was doing those same things. Of course, because it's your first role, you've got to take what's given. But eventually you have to come to a point in your life where you can't keep doing the same things for a pocket full of change. It's not worth it. Long term, on a big goal, it's not. I don't want to keep producing work where black people are seen as criminals. But on a soul level, individually, it wears you down. It wears you down, because you wake up and you're thinking this is the same script that I've been using for the last 10 years, and it wears you down. It affects your soul. It's soul destroying if you wake up every day and you go on set and you're playing the same character, yet you see the other white person that you went to drama school with or whatever, who wasn't as talented as you, and they're getting to play a doctor, they're getting to play a pilot, they're getting to play someone who's living with cancer, do you know what I mean? And I get the same role. It's soul destroying, and I'm speaking to you as an artist, so I understand. Do you know what I mean? I understand what that field is like, and sometimes I think we take for granted what art is. Art is so powerful. art can. The first thing that Hitler did when he when he took control of Germany was he went into lots of houses, Jewish houses and whatever houses, and he took out all the art. He burnt books, he burnt photos, he burnt art pieces because he realized how powerful art was. And we've got to realize that art is something that a lot of black people excel at, whether it's music, whether it's dance, whether it's film. We excel at that. But if we're going to keep putting out these same tired, cliched images, what is that doing not just to the audience, but what is that doing to us?
But you know, people like myself that come from the street, we can connect with that. Blue Story, Top Boy, that's actual real life. That's actual life. Music that you hear from Stormzy or whatever, this is the life that we came from. You understand? Mm-hmm. If you're not from that, it's like when people talk to me and they go, oh, why can't everyone black person do like me and do business or blah, blah, blah. I go, yeah, because I was just one of the... But I said, like I said about the whole thing, being in a council estate, single mum, 3 jobs, blah, blah, blah. And older, as we call it, says, oh, look, every 10s, which is 10 bag of wheat, you get £1 or £2 rent. You're thinking, okay, cool. If I sell that much money, I can maybe give my mum a little money to put in the electric meter or buy some eggs or something. And you're thinking there's no excuse. But I tell you this, when you're the man in the house and you ain't got no dad around, it's just you and you've got 2 little siblings,
mate, that's my story. Oldest brother, 2 younger siblings, both disabled, single mum, never seen my dad. So we come from a similar background, a council estate, so a similar background. But what I'm saying is to you is this: how much different would your life be, or my life be, or black children's life be, if when they turn on the TV, they saw a positive representation of a black man? Oh, how powerful would that be?
Because I am interested in this in terms of how important is it for us as black men, cross-board everywhere, to be role models and to be doing certain things that can impact the next young black boy that's coming up.
It's vitally important. I do a lot of charity work, so I work for a charity in North London, and I've been working there for many years. And I remember at the end of last term, before COVID, we all had to go around in a circle and say who we looked up to. And some people said their mom, I said my mom. And then one of these boys, his name's Josh, lovely, he said, Marlon, that's me. I went, what? He was like, yeah, because you've been here for years and I really look up to you because you're really committed, you're focused, and you give us a platform to raise our voice about whatever we want to talk about. I was like, what? And I didn't realise that I was a role model to him. I just come in there, do my thing, whatever, I love it, it's fun, but I didn't realise I was a role model. We've got to realise everyone's watching us. Regardless of what we're doing, whether we're an artist, whether we're a business person, everyone is watching us. And we don't realise how much of an effect we can have, not just on our peers, because you've inspired me today, but on younger people who are looking up to us as well, which is why I go back to saying we can't keep perpetuating those same stereotypes, which the media love for us to do.
But so what about for those that just is like, it's just about me. I just need to make sure, like, for example, I'm coming from whatever experience or whatever, and I just want to do right by me, right by my family. I don't care what's going on outside. It's just literally about me. Do you know what I mean? I'm not here trying to be a role model to everyone out in the street. Why should I place that pressure upon myself?
A lot of rappers say that though. A lot of rappers say, look, don't look up to me.
Yeah.
I'm not a role model. I'm here to make my money and give my family and my mum a better place. Mm-hmm. That's it. And to a certain extent, I can understand being selfish. Some of these people are in a bad place. Mm-hmm. If I can get an acting role or do music or something and it's going to completely change my life and my family, then I can't be in this world. Like what I do business-wise, I don't do it for me. I do it because I was raised in a situation where we never owned anything. We now own, my sister has a house, my mum has a house, my dad has a house, my grandparents have a house. When I was born, we never had none of that.
Yes.
I've seen what ownership is, right?
Power.
Leaving school, it's like certain of my Caucasian friends, what are you doing? I'm going to work with my dad, my uncle, or whatever. Black people don't have that. Didn't have that. So again, ownership. Yes. So I come from a place where I'm like, I love that because I've been around white people and Asian, especially the Asian people. I don't know if you see how they're such a close community, right? They don't borrow loans. You know what the Asian community do? Which is crazy because since we come here in like the 40s, 50s, the Asian population come into the 70s, right? Yeah. They, instead of borrowing like money from banks, let's say a cost cutter or whatever, they'll have about 6, 7 of them. Let's say a cost cutter is $100 grand, like for the whole franchise to start everything up. Yeah. They all put in, 5 of them put 20 grand in. They help build that shop up. Then it's like, it's your turn. Then it's your turn. They don't even need to rely on the banks. And that's why there's such a close
can I say
community.
Something? I completely agree with everything you said, but you just contradicted yourself. Like you said, the Asian community look out for each other. Why can't the black people community do the same then? Why did you just both say, oh, there's some black people like rappers or whatever, and I don't really like referencing rappers, but whatever. Whatever. Because why is it black rappers say, oh, I'm just doing this, I'm just gonna make much money for myself? And that's where we go wrong. Because like you said, the Asian community, the Jewish community, they don't borrow from external, they borrow internally. So Asian people lend to Asian people, Jewish people lend to Jewish people. Black people don't want to lend to black people. Even if I went up to a black person and said, lend me £5, please, I need to get back to Tottenham. No, screw face, no. If a Jewish person went up to a Jewish person and said, can you lend me a £5? Here's £500. I'll drive you up to Tottenham. Do you see what I mean? And so you've just contradicted yourself. And that's not me criticizing you, but that's what we've got to do.
But you know what, yeah? For example, black people, some people stereotype, call us tight, right? We don't come from the same... We come from slavery. We're like, I see it like this. So this is how I see it, right? In my head, when I see young people like buying the stereotype with the whole name brand to the cars or whatever, my head, I'm like, you fools. Yeah, we're behind.
Yes.
Like we need to catch up.
Yeah,
that money that you just spent on financing that car or whatever, do you know what you could have done with that? You could have invested in something, you know what I mean? And people say, investment, blah, blah, blah. You don't need to be doing stocks and shares. I don't do stocks and shares. I might invest in something that's $5,000 and that might give me a return of $7,500. It's a $2,500 profit, you understand? I do stuff like that. I can't remember what my point was, but my point was, oh no, you're talking about the whole lending thing, right?
Well, not necessarily lending of financial means, but even lending of like emotional means or babysitting or supporting someone. Like for example, if I came up to you and I said, can you help me create my own business? I would like to think that you would help me, but I can guarantee you 9 times out of 10, black people would be like, no, I'm not helping you. I want to create my own business. I don't want you to be as successful as me. Whereas my attitude is, I want every single black person to be equally successful in their own field.
Is that what it is? Go on, say before.
Yeah, I think it's all with us. I would say with black people in general, I would say that we have smaller, tight-knit communities. So it's like, in terms of like, we're not one cohesive group. It might be like one country, like so literally like the Jamaicans here, and then you got like another group of black people over there, and like they form like individual groups. Whereas like you said, with other communities like the Asian community, once they're like, you look like me, it's all like one thing. I think our problem is that we're still divided within ourselves rather than, you know, like, oh, like, I don't want to help you. It's not that. It's like, I've already got my people that I'm helping. But, like, because I feel like everybody has their own community within the black community.
But why is that? Why is that there's that division? Is it because of, let's say, lack of trust?
I can tell you this from my personal my experience, why some people might say you don't help the black community or whatever. Anyone that knows me knows that I used to enjoy taking friends that was trapping or on the road, and I used to give them their first job, where I've had, by the age of 22, I already had like 24 jobs, and I was never fired from any of them. Whether it was agency or whatever, and I left on a way where they said, Wayne, you know, if you ever wanted to come back, you could come back. I never went back to them. But it was a thing where I could recommend them because they're like, oh, you're Wayne's friend. We know how Wayne was. Wayne was a great worker. We're going to hire you. Yeah. I did that for one of my friends 5 times. And I've done that to about 6 other people. People weren't getting jobs, right? They came to me. I spent an hour and a half of my time. I've helped rewrite 12 people's CVs, all got jobs. I have helped people. I've lent people money. I've been shafted so many times within the black community where I'm kind of, in my head, I'm just like, I'm just looking at it for my family now. If you ain't got the same surname with me over what I'm doing, I'm just like, no, because everything
What's
I'm doing.
Surname?
My surname.
Trying to get in the family.
You understand? And then someone might say, oh, but why don't you do business with black people? The type of business that I'm in, because it's phones and gadgets or whatever, it's Asian community. I used to own a prestige valeting company. My customers are all in Dulwich. They're the white community. So my business is Asian and white. I love being black. Yeah. But when I had my valeting company, because my valets were, this is my thing when I was valeting, right? Oh. Valeting, my valets start from like £100. I'm cleaning the car. So I'm gonna go, why would I pay £100 when I can go car wash and pay £10? That was the black community. The white community, I would charge them £120. They're giving me £130 Wayne. They said, Wayne, you're too cheap.
And see it as a
you
premium.
need to and do it. You understand that? Look how my car was. 6-7 hours. I'm doing this car for 6-7 hours. You understand? They're paying me. And someone go, oh, well, you know, Wayne loves the white people. To a certain extent, how can I not love the white people?
Yeah.
No, I'm not a fool. I can't put a bracket. and say all white people are the same. Not all black people are the same.
Yeah.
So I can't just speak and say, oh, white this, white that. Well, I can talk in positive and negative about every single race because I have Asian friends, I have white friends, if you take me as a friend, I'm gonna be your friend.
Yeah.
Whatever religion, sexuality, whatever, I do not care. If you're loyal to me and you love me for who I am, and you're gonna be there for me. That's all I need. I don't need no money. I don't need nothing. All I need you to do is maybe give me a little phone call, have a little joke. Wayne, are you okay? Blah blah. That's it. That's all I need. So in my head, where I'm at right now, look, I'm not going out my way to try and help black people. Because I've been shafted too many times with my own experience. How many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many times do you want me to keep trying?
Yes.
You understand? And some might go, oh, but if it was a white person or whatever, listen, I do not care what race you are. But perfect example, I can tell you this, my white friends have been a lot more loyal to me than my black friends. They've helped me out a lot more, including business-wise. Can I tell you this, man? I got one friend, not even going to say his name, and he's been with me rain, snow, helping me. Not helping. He's been out there helping me, knowing that I've made maybe a £500 profit, £1,000 profit on selling the car. Not asked me for one single penny. You think that's happening with a black person?
Okay, fine, but why? So, for example, on the other parties, like let's say these black people that have shafted you and done you wrong. Why is this so common?
I don't know why it's so common, and I'm not willing to risk it again.
You're not interested.
No, because I've done. I'm 30 now.
Yes,
I've been helping people since I was 16 years old. You know what I mean? For me, I'm just like, I've helped you rewrite your CV. I'm giving you a job. Listen, I would love for someone to say, Wayne, all you have to do is come to the interview. The job's already done. You start on. All you need to do is turn up. That doesn't happen. I've done. How many people can say they've done that for someone? How many people can say they've stopped doing business so you can come to their house, hour and a half, and help rewrite their CV, and then apply for jobs, and then make a phone call to make sure they get a job and take them off the street. You understand? People don't do that. I've done that. So not to say that I've done my dues for black people, but I've done more than enough. But right now, like I said, I don't care what color you are. In my head, I'm just like, it's my family, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to change the whole stereotype and us not owning anything and not being able to work for our uncles or aunties and having to work for the legal, like I said, legal slavery, because a lot of the time within CEOs, directors are white people. Yeah. And I've had people talk to me, I've had managers call me up and go, wait, stop getting around. And you know what I mean? You don't talk to people like that. Did they speak to the white man like that? I don't know. Yeah. They probably just spoke to me like that. So it's like, for me, it's like, oh, how many people will call you and go, oh, my manager's racist or whatever? Make a change. Yes. Make a change. When I was building up my business, I worked. Yes. I worked, I learned, I made enough money. I said, okay, cool. When it's time, I always had a backup. And I said, you know what? If I feel like I'm in any way, and I can do my own thing. And that's what I do. Everyone has the same chance not the same chance in life. Let me not say that. But everyone has a chance. What you do with it is up to you. Yes. You understand? I come across people and they're like, oh, but from a council estate, single mom. I'm like, oh, we had the same life. Yeah. Crappy dad. Oh, same life. Oh, no, my dad didn't, same life. Yeah. Mum worked 2 jobs. Same life. Younger siblings, we had the same life. You had the same chance I had. Why didn't you do it? Yes. Coming out here, the world wanting helping handouts from people. You don't want, you know what I mean? You can't do that.
Yeah. I had, in terms of, I guess, the thing of like expectation, that is like, oh,
and also within our community, what we need to understand is no one owes you nothing. Yes. You as a friend, because you're doing better than me, you don't owe me nothing. Yeah. You understand what I mean? And I think within the whole black culture, if one person's doing better than another, it's like, oh, bring me in, fam. Bring me in. You weren't with me. We mean bring me, and is that not a big word? Yeah. Bring me in.
For certain other people, even black people, it's like coming from a negative experience, like yourself, let's say, and a negative upbringing, but you use it to push you forward. You use it as your strength. You understand that?
I always tell people, someone might tell me something that's negative. I said that's a negative, but twist that around and turn it into a positive. I said never. I take can't, negative. Certain negative words is not in my vocabulary. I don't even talk about it.
But you know what I would like you to do? You know what I would like you to do with all this story that you have, and you've only skimmed the surface of your backstory, and you're very successful, obviously, you're very articulate. I'd like you to maybe go into schools or colleges and speak to young black people, not necessarily just young black people, but just young people in general. So therefore, you're giving back, but it's not in a financial transaction, because like I said, giving back is not always a financial transaction. Just give them your story, and you'll inspire at least one person in that setting. And then that's a change that you've planted that seed.
I agree with you.
Because this story is really, that's why I'm not interjecting, because I'm really inspired by your story. I'm really digesting it. But I'm similar age to you. But imagine if you talk to someone who's half your age, family's got them, and that's you giving back. And there's no money involved in that at all. You're not losing anything, you're gaining something. So for me, I know you've been burnt in the past, so have I. You've probably been burnt more than I have. But I still feel like I still feel we need to give back. If you don't want to give back to your peers, like your age, people your age, fine, I get that, you know. But what about these young people?
What you're saying, I would love to do that. I 100% agree with you. And people have said, Wayne, you should talk in schools or whatever.
Yeah,
I just haven't got right. I don't like boring people.
It's not boring, it's not boring at all. It's inspiring.
But then, like, I know, speaking from like experience, I remember I had in my school was in Central East London, and East Central, sorry, and yeah, and all my teachers were white. None of my teachers, majority of my teachers, didn't grow up in like inner city London, or like didn't grow up in anywhere in London, and then they would come and dictate stuff to me. And then I had one teacher, my PE teacher, who was a black man, who he always walks with his chest out, like perfect posture, and no matter what, he just carried himself like how I would want to carry myself. And then I always watched him, and it was that thing of like, even though like all these teachers who are doing science, who are doing this, all these stuff that are the main subjects, that one teacher who did PE, I was like, that's the guy like I'm looking at. And all it takes is one person, and that could change everything. Because like I really appreciate I'm like what you do, because in a sense it's like nepotism. Because now with your ownership, your kids, they're gonna know about ownership. They're gonna know about being in charge of having their own thing. Because right now, how much people in the black community can really say they own something? We're fighting over these postcodes, and we own no properties on these postcodes. Right. So just by that, what you're doing is powerful. Is powerful in a sense.
But like you said, if you don't have that visual person who looks like you, who comes from a similar background to you, then you're not going to think you can achieve anything. Because if you're just seeing white faces, then you're going to see, oh, white scientist or white teacher. I can't do that because they have the same kind of background as me. They don't even look like me. As soon as you step to a school and you talk about your story, you come from a background which was challenging, but now you've made a success of yourself. A black person can see you and be like, maybe I could create my own business. Or maybe I can be a success. Not necessarily in business, but a success full person, full stop. Because they've seen that visual. And it's really important that we have these strong, empowering visuals all the time. And it shouldn't be just a once in a lifetime thing where one person comes in and they just change a person's life. It should be constant, which goes back to what I was saying about the films and the music. It needs to be constant.
So that definitely does sound like a solution in terms of, let's say, the arts and being a face, a positive face and a positive light in terms of as black men. You mentioned something on postcodes and all of that, and it just made me think of like gang culture and all of that sort of stuff.
I went through that as a kid, man. I got attacked. I've been attacked twice by about 8 people from my whole postcode thing. I've been beat up twice by like 8 people just because I was from SE15. So that old postcode thing that you're talking about, that old 2004 to 2007 thing, that was my life. I was even though I was on the road and I might have been a part of blah blah. Yeah. If the police didn't watch it, no, I'm joking. But
get you up on some old crimes.
But I was always the responsible one in my crew. My crew used to call me Uncle. You know, like uncles are the ones that Uncle Golds is speaking. Let Uncle Golds speak. Because I was always the mature one. And certain things people might have got into, I would have been like, I'm just gonna go home. Because I was always, even though I was a street kid, I was a wise street kid, and I knew, wrong from right? Yeah. And I just knew, if I get caught, my mum's gonna kill. Not my mum's gonna kill me, but I'm gonna disappoint my mum. Yeah. And she's already, even though at this time we still lived in the council estate and it was hard, blah blah. I go, but he tried so hard. Me coming back, like going in prison or police, I feel like I'm letting my mother down. Everything I do, I always think, but my mum though. Yeah. My mum, because my mum, a lot of parents, like my mum. For example, my mum had me at 20 years old, single mum. She was a young mother, and it's just like. It was just me and my mum for like such a long time. So everything I do, I just think my mum. You know what I mean? How would I think a lot of people just don't think.
They don't
like
have
that.
something. They don't have necessarily something to ground them. They don't have, you know, some people. For some people, it will be faith. Some people, like you say, it's their parents, their mom, their siblings, some sort of responsibility or something that pulls them to be like, oh no, I shouldn't do this. I'm thinking that's sometimes what can be the problem. But with gang culture and all of this sort of stuff, how do we tackle
But
this?
remember this with gang culture, right? Speaking within it.
Go on.
A lot of people, like I said, within a black community, a lot of our dads are not around. When you're in a gang, remember that gang, a lot of people say it's a gang, but you don't see it as a gang. You see it as a brotherhood.
See it as
You're a
family,
brotherhood,
yeah.
right?
Okay.
So the elders are there to kind of, to like show you the way or whatever.
Yes.
So people see a gang, but you see it as, I got nothing at home, I got no father figure. The elders, some of them play like a father figure, and the younger ones, my peers and my brothers. And you just get up to mischief because you're bored. You understand?
Right.
And because it's not right, but it's kind of fun. Now the whole postcode thing was is a territory thing,
That's okay.
which cats and dogs have. You know, to like they do it. They pee on their.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's a
yeah. They mark
territory
their
thing, and
territory,
it's all about, well, you're not from my ends or whatever. I don't want you here because this is my territory, which is a stupid thing. But
course.
when I was a part of it, I didn't see myself as a gang, even though there might have been 10 to 15 of us. When I think about it now, that's a lot of people. But I just saw it as these are my brothers, man. You know what I mean? As a grown adult, I can tell you it's out of 20 of them, I only talk to one or two. The rest of them I might see and drive past. I have no interest in that life or anyone like that. You understand? But you know, like I can speak on an aspect from the road to professionalism. But I always say, like, if you're not from the streets or whatever, you might have lived in the council estate, but if you weren't out there where you saw people get stabbed or this is your block, someone gets shot over there,
really
you
know.
walk up, you don't know.
No.
But I tell you this, the street is a hard place, and which is even more for me because it's like I made it out. I'm a street kid, but I'm wise and I'm not foolish, and I know wrong from right. And but as I said, I'm a strong-minded person.
Yeah.
I'm a strong-minded person.
Not everybody is. Yeah.
Not everybody is, and some people are, they're easily misled. I'm not making excuses, but some people are easily misled.
But at the end of the day, you know, these are young people. Do you know what I mean? They're growing up. They're trying to find their feet and all of these things.
Some people, I'm talking
are
25, 26, 27. Some people still at that age are still easily misled. I'm 30 years old. I got people that phone me, a friend of mine, and says to me, and I say, that's complete stupidness.
Yeah.
I ain't got that stupidness at 29 years old. You understand? So it's not just when you're a teenager. Some people, but not everyone has a friend like me.
No.
Because someone that says, imagine you phoned the wrong person and you said, oh, I'm thinking about that to get a quick little money, and someone goes, oh yeah, I think you should do that. It's a quick little change
might
there.
as well.
Me, I'd be like, bro, are you a damn fool? Like you working, you might. I said, oh yeah, but I'm only making 20 grand a year. Do you not get constant wage per month? Yeah.
Yes.
Them people on the road, a lot of them ain't got no salary to look forward to. They might do a move, might make them 5 grand. They don't know where the next 5 grand coming from. You get your 1,500 every single month. Plus you got your pension. Plus you got your annual leave. Be happy.
But see, that's the thing, because it's like a cycle. Essentially, everything feeds into everything. In the sense, like you mentioned, the thing of fatherhood. Absent fathers, they're missing from the home. You know, you say the thing of boredom or whatever. Let's say money plays a part of that. You've got families that can't even afford one toy, can barely afford meals for the day and all these things. So it's like, whereas let's say certain white families, even some black families, you've got families there that are able to put their kids into private education. They're able to put them into this activity straight after school, weekend activities, take them here, take them there. But then you've got a lot of ethnic minorities, black men, young black boys that don't have this. So then, as you say, they fall into that plays a part. Those that are then trying to get a job because of the systematic racism within corporate society, especially, they're not getting the jobs. No one wants to hire them for this entry position. No one wants to hire them for this graduate position. They're going for the white man, the white girl, oftentimes or whatever. So we're at a disadvantage coming from so many different angles. So it's like when we're trying to bring it from here, there's something else pulling it from the other side.
I think we need a massive cultural shift.
Yes.
Because I feel like we've had this conversation before. I've heard it for the last 20 odd years, and no one's come up with solutions. And I'm always the kind of person who I don't want to have conversations about, oh, it's so hard to be black. Well, then what do we need to do to change that? So first of all, I think we need to stop encouraging black men and black women to have children. I know it sounds controversial, but I think there's a lot of black, and I'm focusing on black. We can talk about white and Asian, but we're not here to talk about that.
No, it's about black.
There's a lot of people who think, right, I need to have a child to complete my life. I need to have a child to be a fulfilled woman. I need to spread my seed as a man to show how virile I am and masculine I am. No, we need to get out of that because that's come from slavery. That's another. A lot of our problems have come from slavery and we've not come to a resolution about them because we don't know them within ourselves. So that's the first thing. We need to stop thinking that the only way for us to be fulfilled humans, men or women, is to have children. Because a lot of the problems is a lot of these people are having kids and they're kids themselves.
Yes.
Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
And you know what I'm saying is correct. So that's the first thing we need to do. We need to encourage our young people to be more aspirational. Going back to what you're doing now. Own your own business, whether it's selling cakes or be a creative, whether it's being a writer or selling artwork or have your own business, whether it's making cars or whatever, be an astronaut. We need to give these young people dreams and aspirations that they can hold on to and it can actually materialize. That's the first thing. Because otherwise they're going to end up on the street because someone's going to say, oh yeah, sell this and you'll get this. No, because they're going to end up in prison anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Or dead.
One or the other, right? Exactly, and then that's a system that will never stop. So that's the other thing that we need to do. We also need to make sure that we try and install some kind of education in our young people that makes them realize that it didn't just come from slavery. That's another thing, because again, the systems in schools are there to teach young black people that you were slaves. Full stop, that's it. We celebrate Black History Month in October. What about the other 11 months of the year?
Yes.
Why are we not talking about black people who have done amazing things in this country, whether that was 100 years ago or now? Here's an example.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Why are we not having inspirational, aspirational visuals every single day? And we need to pump these out to these young people. The government aren't helping. Like, I work in the youth provision sector. The government have closed 700 youth centres over the last 10 years, and they've cut £1 billion from the youth provision budget, £1 billion over 10 years. Where are these young people going? Where are these young people going? If there's no youth centres, no youth provisions, and they don't have a strong family structure at home, they're either going to be on road or they're going to find a new brotherhood, like you said, and that's dangerous. So what we need to do, again, going back to you, is we need to get aspirational, intelligent, successful black men and women into these schools. If we can't get them into the schools, then if we see young people, we've got to tell them our story. We've got to tell them that story. We've got to help them. We might not necessarily have to help them financially because we're all struggling at the moment, but just having that conversation, having that person who you can look up to and see, they look like me, they come from the same background as me, they're doing great as me. I don't need to sit down and have 6 babies by 6 different baby mamas or baby daddies. And then what? And then what? The system carries on and carries on. So we've got to have a complete different cultural shift. Otherwise, the same things, we're going to have the same conversation in 50 years' time.
Yes.
And I'm sick and tired of it.
Yeah. As we can see, has been a slight in terms of awareness for whatever reason. But let's say recently, there's a shift. There's more awareness about Black Lives Matter, essentially, whatever. And I think, yeah, like you said, these kind of conversations, this awareness, us having these conversations, more black men come together, having these conversations. So now we go away, we go home, and we're thinking, oh, which young black boy do I know that I can help, that I can support, that I can bring up?
Do work experience.
Exactly,
Do you know what I mean?
these things. If you have, for example,
Like
if you have a business, for example, I think that is something, provide opportunities or whatever, because nobody else wants to.
It doesn't have to be financial. I think that's what
Yes.
we always go on. We always think that in order to help people, we have to give them our money.
Yes.
No, we don't need to do that.
Yes.
You give them your time. You give them your energy. You give them who you are, your spirit. You educate them. That don't cost no money.
But even like a mentorship scheme isn't enough to like just change your whole mindset.
But we've got to be responsible for doing that. We can't keep knocking on Boris Johnson's door, getting him to help our kids when he doesn't even know how many kids he's got. Do you know what I mean? we always go to the wrong people. We always go to the wrong people. It's the truth, though.
Big up Boris Johnson.
Google it.
But yeah, I think, like you said, we need to be creating our own things.
Yeah.
It's time to create. It's time.
Go
Do you know
back
what I
to
mean? We're
what you do.
creators. Exactly.
Yeah.
Create our own things. Create your own path or whatever. Obviously, support yourself. Make sure you've got that A or that option B or whatever, and all of that sort of stuff to protect yourself or whatever. But start creating. Everyone.
Yes.
If it's within you and you have the passion for it and you have the capabilities to, I think we need to start doing that.
But I just wanted to say the whole
Go on.
youth thing, what you said, I didn't know that because I was going to say, so growing up as a kid in Peckham, we had this youth club in Nunhead, right? And it was like the only thing that we had when we were off the road because you had our pool and all these things, right? And it was like the only time we weren't getting up to mischief. And I always said, man, if they had more youth clubs, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Because when we were at the youth club, we had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
But what you understand, so now if you're telling me they just cut all them, That's actually
there was a
crazy.
provision that I was linked to, and I remember they like you said they were closing everything was going. They came to close this one, and it's like they were like, oh, it's not bringing in that many young people, it's not doing this, it's not, and it's like, but it's like it's in such a key spot within the area, and it's like, yeah, it may be 5 young people, whatever, but there's so much that you're giving to them. After, so it's like it stayed open for another year or 2 years, which was great to see. But then now they've closed it down or whatever. So there's a particular bar or whatever, and they've only got three key youth provisions now. And it's the types of young people that they engage in aren't the ones. They're not the ones that need it, unfortunately. Do you know what I mean? When I've gone there and I've looked and I see the stuff that they're not engaging them. They're not going into the heart of the community.
You know, you have to get these kids from, I think, 7, 8 years
Yeah,
old.
I agree.
I meet kids, 7, 8 years old, no lie. I've seen them and I've gone, I can tell if you're going to go that way, no lie, 10 years come and they're in prison or they're smoking. Or selling whatever, and I said, bro, didn't I say I could tell he was going to be a bad? You know when they say, oh man, you're going to be in trouble, you're going to be a bad man. You can just tell, and I've known that from when I seen the kid from 7, 8 years old, and you've seen it, and it's just come up, and that's what's happening.
So I think there is for me personally, I would say there is a responsibility for us as black men to support, to help.
I think the biggest way you can support is have kids and be around your kid.
Or don't have kids at all.
Yes, but but even for those kids,
true. Not everyone is made to be a mother or father.
Oh no, I agree, definitely.
But I mean, you are a father.
But I think our problem with our society is why ain't you got my mum? Why ain't you got no pitney yet? Why ain't you got no pitney? Maybe I don't want to have kids. Maybe I don't feel like I'm mature enough to raise another child. Maybe I don't want to bring a kid into this messed up world. Do you know what I mean? Stop the pressure of you have to have kids. My mum should have said, why don't you have your own business, Marlon? Why haven't you created your own play? Why haven't you done something at Bernie Grant Centre? Why haven't you not? Do you know what I mean? It's the wrong angle that we always, and I think that's what we need to do. Like going back to you, create your own business, create your own income, have your own building, have your own house. Do you know what I mean? That's what we should be installing on our young people. Not have a girlfriend, have a boyfriend, have pitney. Nah, man, that's old school. It don't work. It's rubbish.
Because you do that, but you don't have the cash to support.
Right.
That's the problem.
Not even just the financial means. You don't have the mentality, the intelligence to raise a child, the emotional maturity to raise a child. You need all that and more. Forget the money for a second. Like, my mum didn't have no money, but she was mature emotionally and she knew how to raise me up.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? But I was lucky in that respect. Not many people are.
Yeah. Stop having kids. Black men stop having too many kids.
True. I don't know how many brothers. That's the thing. You don't know how many brothers I've got. My dad's seen this all over the world. You know. What is that about? You might be my brother.
He's a loving man.
He's a foolish man.
In terms of mental health, how do we, because I think this is something that's lacking in the black community. We've had an episode on this, but so just even briefly, how can us as black men support one another, support ourselves, and take, because I know there's been a lot of stigma in terms of, let's say, if a black man's like, oh, I'm in therapy or something like that, or if sometimes we open up to one another and it's like, I'm going through this. How can you? Do you know what I mean? So a lot of the time it's just all about
black
culture and these kind of
culture.
things.
You're mad.
Yeah.
There's no mental health in the Caribbean. They don't believe in like disability or nothing like that. It's just, there's something wrong with you. You're mad, or you've been cursed, or the duppy done this to you. I heard back in the Caribbean, I heard the most craziest things ever. I don't know if it's because they're not educated or if it's just, you know, I've just heard the maddest things ever. And it's like it's mental health. Like there's something she's going through. Something. No, that's mad. The mum, you know, and then I hear something about voodoo. You don't know, the mum slept with the dad, so the person put a hex on her. So when the child come, the child had to come out mad. You know what I mean? And that makes more sense to them. I got uncles and aunties that tell me this. My grown people, you know, and I'll talk to them and they're actually educated because they tell me about black history and I'm like, how can you be so educated but so stupid at the same time? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a massive cultural shift again, isn't it? Like you said, like we've been taught certain things over the last X amount of years, but they're not. A lot of the things we've been taught are not doing us any good. They're not helping us grow financially, emotionally, physically, whatever. So what we need to remember is the number one cause of death for men between the ages of 18 to 49 is suicide in this country. Not cancer, not heart disease, not diabetes, suicide. So men are taking their lives at a massive high rate in this country. Why is that? Because as black men, we're not taught to talk about our emotions. We don't know how
It's a weakness, isn't it?
Suppress,
It's seen
push
as
it
a
down.
weakness, but we don't know how to communicate as well. The only way we're taught is stay strong, stay hard, don't let anyone see your weaknesses, don't ever cry in front of people. If someone's messing you around, knock them out. Do you know what I mean? That's it, that's all you're taught. And then you think, well, I'm feeling a bit sad today. Who do I talk to about it? But if I talk to this person, they're going to mock me.
Yeah.
They're going to think I'm weak. And it's hard enough being a black man anyway without exposing your weakness.
Yeah.
So as soon as we get over that hurdle, I think that's what's going to help. I think what I would suggest is if you've got black friends who you trust, speak to them. If you need to go to a counsellor, go to a black counsellor.
Yes.
Never go to a white counsellor because they're
It's
never
true.
going to completely
won't
understand the
understand.
complexity of what it's like to be a black man. But you have to open up. And before you get into any relationships, before you have any kids, go get some mental health treatment. You have to. I know the NHS, the queue is massively long. If you can afford it, I'd say go private. But I would definitely say do it. And if you can't afford it, if you don't want to speak to someone you don't know, speak to someone you do know. Even if that's someone with family, even if it's someone with friends. I know some organisations, some businesses have a mental health provision that comes in where they don't have to pay because it's part of like your employment, for example, that you get some mental health provision. But seek it out. Even if you don't think you're
That's the thing, because it doesn't have to be extreme.
Just speak to someone, because I personally think we have a lot of PTSD from when we were enslaved and from the schooling system as well. I think the schooling system can be very dangerous for black boys in particular, because they teach us a certain way to be and a certain way of where we've come from, a certain way of where we're going to end up.
100%.
And I think that can be very difficult for you to...
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes, exactly. And I think that can be very difficult for you to digest and to analyze as well, about when you leave at 16 and you're taught certain things about what you're going to do or where you're going to end up or where you've come from. And if you don't have a strong system at home, that can really mess you up mentally for the rest of your life. And then unfortunately, if you have kids or you have a partner, that's going to pass on to your partner and that's going to pass on to your kids.
I always say I'm a non-stereotype. I'm what I'm not supposed to be. I'm a black street kid, bisexual guy who's not supposed to be how I am, right? And every time I tell someone, oh, I'm bisexual, oh, I'm from a cancer state, oh, I'm from that.
It's like, whoa.
It's like, whoa. But are you sure? I'm like, I'm definitely sure. I'm definitely sure I'm from a cancer state. I'm definitely sure I'm bisexual. I'm like, you know what I mean? So people that's watching this, I hope they get something from us to say, you know what? I can see a bit of me in that. I can see a bit of me in him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He's not in prison. He's not blah blah. And
Or I don't see myself in any of them, but that's okay because we're all individuals. And I can be my own person. I don't need to be like you.
just
you
be yourself and
be
own
yourself.
it. Be yourself and own it, and just be confident of and grab onto something and just try to achieve it.
Yeah.
And just necessarily because your peers aren't doing it, don't mean it's the wrong thing. Just stay in your lane and do what you gotta do.
But seeing yourself in someone doesn't necessarily mean like I'm following your path.
Oh, yeah,
it could be like,
yeah.
oh, I can see you succeeding over there, so now I know I can succeed because I've seen somebody
That's right.
from where I'm from who's done it. So it could be like that.
That's amazing. So what makes you proud to be a black man? Anyone, go for it.
It makes me proud to be a black man. So much stuff.
We don't age.
We don't age. History. I'm like proud of my hair. I'm proud of like every aspect. Even like I'm proud to know that when I make it in whatever field I want to make it in, I know that I had to overcome much more than so many other people.
Yes.
So that when I get there, it's like it's worth more to me than it did for so much other people.
I think I've learned standing out isn't a negative. Being myself isn't a negative. And just being a proud, black, strong individual is excellent. And I think a lot of people, racism is created because they fear us, right? They fear us for a good reason. That's because they want to be us.
Yes.
You want to be us for a reason.
Yes.
How can that be a negative?
Yes.
How can I not feel good
Yes.
about being a black man? And the rest of the half that you said, I'm gonna take that to me as well. Yeah.
Marlon?
It's hard to go last because I completely agree with everything that you two have said. But I would say that they've tried to bury us for a reason, and rather than seeing that as a negative, see it as a positive.
Yes.
Why would you want to bury something that you don't want to be? You obviously want, you aspire to be us. You try to take our culture, you try to take our wealth, you try to take our natural minerals in Africa, you try to take everything from us, but we're still here. We're still here, we're still strong, we're still thriving. There's so many of us who are thriving and doing, you are success, by the way. Success is not a destination, it's a journey. So you are successful. You're sitting here now, you survived not just how many years you've been on Earth, but you survived 2020. Do you know what I mean? Never forget that. We're all survivors, we're all here, we're all successful. Success is not just about how much money you've got in your bank account, it's how much wealth and intelligence and warmth and humour you have inwards as well. I think sometimes we neglect that. Money's great and everything because of capitalism, unfortunately, but there's other aspects of success as well, and we've got to remember, your success, well done, your success, well done, but you're both successful in different ways. And as a black man, and you're successful as well, of course, I didn't mean to lead you out, but as a black man who's secure within himself, I feel I can do that without feeling any way, because you lot are all successful in different ways to me, and that's cool, and I love it, and I want to see more. And whoever's watching, you're successful as well, and I think we need to do more of that. Pat each other on the back, raise each other up. Well done, you're doing well. There should not be no, oh, he's doing well, I hate it. Nah, keep doing your thing. How can I help you even succeed even more? You know, I think that's what will make us even more successful, and that's what I'm looking forward to. What happens next? Not what happened before. I think that's important. We know what happened before, but let's see what happens next.
Let's future.
Let's look to our future. Let's all be successful individually and collectively.
Man, I love that. Yes, let's just move forward.
You went last, but you come deep.
I know.
You tried it before you came here today anyway. You cheated.
He brought the word. Finally, can you guys give me tell me a black man that inspires you all, if any, or woman?
I would say my dad not in his whole parenting thing, but his graft. So my hard workship, like my dad's a 12-hour, 7-day-a-week guy. May not be good for his marriage or his kids or whatever. That's another talk show. But on a work ethic, I don't know any man hard. I work hard. You know when someone works so hard, it's like, man, you gotta calm it down. Like it's not that deep. You know, you got to be able to live a little. So my dad always inspires me. Whenever I think I'm working hard, I'm like, I'm working hard, but I'm not working that hard because this man works hard. So he inspires me in that way.
That's amazing.
I've got two people, and both for the same reason actually. So I've got my granddad and also Jimi Hendrix. Just for the sense, well, my granddad came to the UK like after the Windrush era, and being a black man, but just being hated for nothing. A sense what we go through, but I feel like it was a bit more on the nose back then, and just being able to excel in his field. And he didn't do anything flashy. He was just a bus driver, but like he was able to have a family. Him and my grandmother had my mom, and then like I'm here from that. And Jimi Hendrix for the same reason, being a black man in like psychedelic rock, like how he went into that genre and then just changed the whole thing.
Barriers,
and became like people consider him the best. So it's just like two black men who excel, even though things are always against them.
I like that. Marlon?
I'll do family one first. Like my brother Curtis, he is disabled, and he just inspires me just because like he's non-verbal, and I just can't imagine what it must be like to be him, but he just inspires me to just keep moving forward and support him and everything. And I don't think we talk about comparing to what you talked about earlier, we don't talk about disability enough in the black community. So sometimes I think when you have a disabled child, you feel very isolated. Like you feel guilty, like you've done something wrong, or someone put a spell on you, or you did something wrong, karma, blah. That's a load of BS. So I definitely would say that's something that we need to talk about more. And I've been doing a lot of research about history, and we were talking about this earlier. Like for example, Haiti is an amazing place to research in regards to Haiti was the first country in the world that had the uprising of the black people, and they eradicated slavery in 1803. And we never talk about that. We all talk about slavery was eradicated in this country in 1833. So why did it take 30 years after Haiti for us to eradicate slavery in this country? Why don't we talk about Haiti, how black people got rid of the French, the Spanish, the British, the Americans from that island and freed themselves? Wonder why we don't talk about that. And 30% of the military, of the black military in Haiti were women. Why don't we talk about that? 30% of the women, and women couldn't even vote in this country. The white women couldn't even vote in this country, but 30% of the army in Haiti were women. And another person who I've researched as well was Manny of the Maroons. So she was a woman in Jamaica who freed herself from slavery, and then she led an army who, again, got rid of the British invasion of people who were trying to re-enslave them again. That's something that I didn't know about until earlier this year, like a woman-led black people and destroyed the British army who tried to re-enslave them again. And the British had to come to her and say, look, we're losing. Can we sign some kind of declaration where you can stay on this part of the island and we'll stay on this part of the island? And I just thought, why don't we talk about things like that? Why don't we talk about these strong, empowered black men and women who freed themselves? They weren't waiting for no white person in Britain to free them. They freed themselves.
But then who's the losers in those stories?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Guys, that is unfortunately all we have time for. But it's been a pleasure. It's been great. I love the positive vibes. I love what we've been talking about and how we're talking about the future, what we're doing, our action plans. You know what I mean? These things. Hopefully we can do it again sometime. Guys, do you have any top tips for your fellow black men?
Like, create your own lane. Don't be afraid to like just do your own thing. As long as you believe in what you want to do.
You stole mine.
You know? I don't want you to say it.
No, you stole it and reworded it.
Yeah,
but I just wanted
it's
to
okay,
know.
man. It's all right.
100% what you said, man. 100%.
Celebrate your individuality. Never see it as a flaw. Educate yourself about where your black people have come from.
Yes.
Don't rely on the school system to educate you because it's not enough. Exercise, drink water, be a vegan. Because your food is your medicine is your food. We're not meant to be eating the crap food that we eat in Western society. You've got to remember, when we were in Africa, Jamaica, whatever, we were on a better, healthy, plant-based diet. So the reason why, and I know it sounded funny at the start when I said be a vegan, but the reason why we have such a high level of diabetes and obesity in this country for black people is because we're not eating the right food, and that's killing us. We're talking about COVID's killing us. Our diet is killing us. We've got to make sure we're looking after our diet and look after each other.
Yes,
as well.
Definitely.
He gave you a 9.
So
that's the free. He was prepared for today.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Ask the Panel. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more.